Hi there, good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm going to do a bit more work on this traveler's notebook. It's definitely taking up some time here, and I'm enjoying it. So, we're going to, I have quite a few things I want to do to the cover, and I may be doing stopping and starting because some of it is sort of just tedious, time consuming that I'm going to do, but I still think it's important to let you know in case you ever come across this and you think you might want to try, what it is I do, uh, then that's important. Oh, you know what? First thing, talk about important things. Start my timer. There we go. So here's our cover. I have Mod Podged it. And as sometimes happens, the Mod Podge sort of, the Distress ink, the Tim Holtz Gathered Twigs, can be reactivated by anything water-based. And so the Mod Podge sort of can make it sort of swim around on the page. And I want that intense look back again. So I've got my sanding block, and I'm going to do something that sometimes seems a little scary, but because there's Mod Podge on this, it's a slippery surface, and I want to be able to add some more Distress ink to it, and it would most likely just wipe right off. I could use my fingers or a baby wipe, and it would just wipe right off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going along the edge, and I'm just going to use my sanding block all around the edge to take off the Mod Podge from that area. Oh, you know what? I should probably show you what I did inside because if I have to flip this over, you're going to go, ah, what has she done? I had a little fun inside. I wanted the inside to sort of look, you know how sometimes with a designer purse or that, the purse outside looks very, formal and matter of fact, black purse. And then you open it up and it's got this awesome fabric lining, a satin lining inside that's just awesome pattern. Well, I had a little fun with the inside of this cover. I played with some Distress ink, and I love it. I just love it. I feel like it's when Dorothy, the house went through the storm, the tornado landed, boom, and she opens the front door and her world goes from black and white to color. Anyhow, so I had a little fun. Anyhow, so back to this. I want that edge really, really sanded down again, because what I'm going to do also afterwards is I'm going to give it a quick spritz, spray, not spritz, spray with an aerosol sealant. So I'm just going along this edge because I really want a beautiful dark edge. Oh, and another thing I did off camera is, because I do love this rough edge, I really love the layering. You can see all the different layers of paper there. I sort of rounded these corners, and I like them very much now. They don't look like they'll put somebody's eye out. I can hear my mother's voice. Be careful with that, you'll put your eye out. Gotta love moms. Now, what I'm going to do is, this isn't so important because I'm going to be playing with that. Hopefully we'll get time today. If you feel your collage and what has happened with bumps, with the, your either your Mod Podge or your acrylic medium, whatever you used, it's quite bumpy. Even though it's also quite smooth, it's quite bumpy. I'm going to lightly run this right over that. And what's going to happen, because I'm doing it lightly, it's just going to sand the bumps that stick up. It's not going to sand the entire surface. Now, I do want this part a little more sanded vigorously so that it can be nice and dark the way the edge is going to be. So I am going to go in and make sure I get around that window. Sorry for the jiggling. This must be touching the table. And if you find that it's still not, the ink's still not grabbing, you can just sand a bit more and ink a bit more. All right, now, you don't want the powder on there or your ink is just going to go on powder. So dust it off and then pull out your, I'm going to go right on it with an ink pad because I want that edge really nice and dramatic. That's looking nice. Now I'll show you here. This looks like there's a lot there, but if you use a paper towel, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, come on, paper towel. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can literally wipe the excess off, and only what you have sanded will still hang on to it. So now I'm going to get a little bit more vigorous here. But then I'm going to wipe it again. And take some of that loose off. If you don't wipe it, it's going to get all over your fingers anyhow. So give it a good wipe and take off whatever is not going to hang on. Now, I want to get in there, and because it's a flat surface, that's hard. I'm going to go in with my little makeup brush. This will give me my most intense inking. And I really want that around the edges. But then I'll still go over it with my paper towel. And take any excess off. Inside there, there's some layers there still showing through. I really love this. Trying to think if I there. Can you see the difference now between this side and this side? This side looks a little plain, and this side has quite a bit of drama, which give me the drama. And then, of course, there's a whole lot of drama on this side. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to do this side exactly the same way I did this side. I'm going to go in with my sanding block. I'm going to just use this, and oh, I added this. I liked him. So I'm going to go in the sanding block. I'm going to rough it up, ink it, and see how I like it. So hold on. Okay, so now I'm more happy with the drama happening here. I really, really love this. And I want to show you the paper towel. This is what you get if you try and use Distress ink on top of Mod Podge. Some of it will wipe off, even when you're sanding, right? Like the sanded part grabbed, which is what you want. But the part that is Mod Podgy, that's what's come off here on the paper towel. So don't forget to do that. Don't think that just because you've Mod Podged or you've inked over Mod Podge that even though it looks pretty, that's going to stay. It will come off. It'll come off on your hands and it will, you know, it won't, it's not permanent. So hold on. I got a little piece of paper there sticking out. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to sew around the edges and I want to sew around this window. So I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, so I sewed it. I had a few challenges. My bobbin thread broke once. This was a big challenge because this is stiff. I couldn't fit it through the arm of my sewing machine. I use a rather, it doesn't seem old to me because it's 1980s and that's nothing. But to some younger people, that might seem like, you know, back in the day. Anyhow, I have an old machine from the 80s. It was my mom's, and it's not the easiest to manipulate. It does have where I can remove part of the foot, which is amazing because that's better than the machine I had when I got married and did most of my children's sewing on. That was a challenge. But still, because this wasn't bendable, when it was time to run it through, this wouldn't fit. And I literally had to do 2 lines both times, running it backwards. So anyhow, now on this side, again, we've got the little, you know, I call them paper volcanoes. It's where the paper gets displaced because the needle's coming through this way. And what I want to do is before I push these down, I want to just put a little bit of light inking on there. And remember what I told you about Mod Podge and Distress ink. Well, I don't want to have to sand these in order to get the Mod Podge to just grab onto those little holes. So, but because the holes have poked through, the core of the paper is showing. You can see that white core. Well, there's no Mod Podge on that white core. So that's why I'm inking now. I'm going to wipe it off, and then I'm going to push them down, and then I'll wipe them off and remove any residual Distress ink. So I'm just going over any of those little volcanoes. I'm still happy, so that's good, right? Still happy is good. I didn't want any threads hanging loose, so I tied off any loose threads. If my text block, if I had sewn that all with black threads, I think I would have left these threads loose. But the threads in my text block are all gold. So I didn't want any black threads hanging down, just for continuity's sake. There. So I think I will push these down before I wipe this off. There we go. And then I just use my handy dandy martini cocktail pick. It works well for me. And I find I can be quite aggressive. Oh, you know what? I should tell you what I did here. It was a spur of the moment. Oh, what the heck? Let's just do it. I kept looking at these cute little squirrels that I put on there. And so I ran a zigzag around it. Just because. Just because they were there and they were saying, sew us in, sew us in. I wonder if I should move my tripod. I'm bumping it. Sorry, hope I'm not making you nauseated. Now I gotta make sure I'm recentered again. There we go. Now I forget where I was. Well, let's just get at it. Oh, that's better. Now you're not jiggling. Okay. I don't want anyone feeling seasick first thing in the morning. You can do this part with bone folder. That'll work. You just need sort of a hard, smooth surface because you don't want it to dig into the paper and tear it. You just want to push that back in where it came out of. You know what? I'm going to pause and finish this. Hold on. Okay, and now I'm just going to go around the edge, and if there's any left over from when we inked that little paper displacement, see what comes off? And that would come off on your fingers, or whoever the person who uses this, they'd wonder, why are my hands so filthy? Okay, so you just got to wipe that off. I'll still be spray sealing it. And the way I spray seal it, in case you were wondering, but Catherine, what about that window? I still have the piece that I cut out of the second side. And what I do is I just make a little circle of tape, and I tape it in there, spray and seal this side, and then I'll flip it. Mod Podge dries very quickly, aerosol Mod Podge, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll put that there in the window, tape it down, give it a nice spray sealant, and then everything's good. So now you might say, oh, you're still sealing it. Why did you have to wipe all that off? You know what? I have found that for some reason it'll still come off on your hands. So whether that's the sealant's fault or whether I do think there's a bit of oil in these inks, and whether that still rises to the surface, I can't explain. I'm not a scientist. I only know from the books that I've made and the problems that I've run into. So that's all I'm saying. Now, the next part is probably going to be, well, I'm going to go seal it, but I'm going to do that outside, and I can't take you with me. I'd like to, but I can't. I just want to clean this window off a little bit. I don't mind it a little grungy, but I don't want it completely grungy because we want to be able to see our attractive young lady. And all that stuff just all washes off. Even if you get Mod Podge on that, you know, your liquid Mod Podge, it'll peel off. You can peel it off like sunburned skin. So don't let that panic you too much. I still tried my best to avoid it. See? There we go. I must tell you, and I'm not doing it on camera, I am very, very hesitant about sewing pamphlet stitch in. Little Golden Book junk journals, usually if you do it the traditional way, like buttons down the spine and that's a pamphlet stitch. And oh my goodness, very, very, for me, very tricky. I would rather sew a 15 signature, big 2.5 thick, old, you know, restored book than do pamphlet stitch. So, especially through this cover, I think if I were to plan ahead next time, I would I would make this in the manner of an actual traveler's notebook, because an actual traveler's notebook, you can take your text block out. There, you actually run elastics through here. You do sew your text block together, and then you can put your text block in. But the text block, of course, is smaller and fits between the two eyelets. But I can't do that this time because everything is all made and ready to go. Oh, there she is. She's sort of peeking out, saying, are you sure you want to come in here? And then that. Ah, I love it. A little bit of green there. A little green here. I love it. Anyhow, so I am going to be, how am I for time? I'm only at 19 minutes. Okay, well, maybe I will go out and seal this. I can pause. It doesn't take long, and I'm just going to do a quick coat across it. And it's not raining. The rain is holding off. Okay, I'm going to go do that. Hold on. You know what? This next step, I really need to do it with the camera off. It's something that I haven't done in a long time for a reason. I don't usually enjoy it. So I've made my template for poking my holes. I have to remove all of my ephemera and then get this all ready. Please, the link down below to Nancy's tutorial series, to her channel, she gives you such a nice, clear way of doing this next step. Or if you watch her owls video, she'll show you how to do the pamphlet stitch, and she's a very good teacher. You don't want to watch me do this. There could be foul language. So I'm going to get this done, and most likely tomorrow morning I'll be able to show you my pretty book. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all doing great and that you're safe and healthy. And yeah, most likely I'll be here again tomorrow because hubby's working today. So I got the house all to myself, which is lovely. Don't get me wrong, I love the man dearly, but I also really love a quiet, empty house. That's just a decadent thing, especially for a woman who raised 5 children. A quiet, empty house. It's very nice. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk soon. Bye.